This year, Africa and the Middle East's premier creative awards, the Loeries, celebrate 45 years of creative excellence and innovation. The campaign theme for 2023, Blood, Sweat and Tears, it embodies the tough conditions that the brand communications industry has weathered over the past few years. Well, joining me for this conversation is Preetesh Sewraj, the Loeries CEO. Preetesh, appreciate your time this afternoon. Now, what role has the Loeries played in promoting and supporting creative excellence over the last 45 years in Africa and the Middle East?
Yeah, and good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. Yes, the Loeries is the premier creative event and festival, for our entire society across Africa and the Middle East. And what we've been doing is championing innovation in the creative space in the same way that you need good journalism, you need good creative communication to ensure consumers have access to great information about products and services that they care about so that they can better navigate a very complex purchasing environment.
So let's talk about the judging process for the Loeries. How are judges selected as a start and what criteria do they need to meet?
Yeah, so absolutely, Loeries is not a training ground, so it's not a place where somebody can just go, hey, I'd like to judge. So it's quite a stringent process. So we have an entire 18-person final decision-making team who reviews individuals from across Africa and the Middle East who have had criteria of having judged at major awards before, having won at major creative awards, but most importantly, having done work that really makes a difference, work in the creative space. So advertising or film or video or digital that has actually resonated with people around. They say, this is innovative, this is great work. So we do all of that research to be able to put our 150 plus judging panel in place together.
150, that's absolutely massive. Now I suppose one of the challenges when judging, I mean you talk about Africa and the Middle East, is that there are issues around language, for instance. How are those taken into account?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we have so many languages across the region. It's hard for me to even pinpoint it, be a number right now. And the way we get around it is, as we get the work coming in, we do have English subtitles. So the judging is done in the medium of English. And our judges also in the judging rooms would speak the particular languages that are being judged as well. So through that process, we're getting the deep nuances that come through in language, those deep cultural insights to ensure that those are not being missed in any way whatsoever.
I don't know I suppose I still have a question or two, because if I told a joke or told a story in isiZulu, right, an English speaking or an Afrikaner speaking individual may not get those nuances that you speak of, may not find it humorous, even if they understand what it actually means. And then there are issues around peculiarities to a specific certain type of audience. How do you factor those all in?
Yeah, you're absolutely right in all of this as well. And therefore, there's so much work done into choosing these judging panels. So essentially, as I mentioned, within the judging panels as well, you have individuals who can explain those deep insights to be able to explain specifically what they mean for different languages. And you're right. And I mean, it's languages as diverse as French to languages such as Arabic, because again, it's the whole Africa and Middle East as well. So we have individuals in the room, and obviously you've got the translation into English itself, but nothing beats having somebody who's in the room to be able to explain it and to give you those nuances and to share what's really, really meant by what's being shared on screen or in digital platforms or in radio, especially in radio as well.
Now, how does the Loeries facilitate industry dialogue, and what are some of the key topics that remain top of mind with the creative industry in the region?
Yeah, so we're a year-long program. It's not just an award that happens at the end of the year. So what we're continuously doing is I travel across Africa and the Middle East. That's the first thing. I just got back from Kenya now, spent quite a bit of time in places like Dubai and Nigeria, just chatting to individuals, understanding what's happening, what are some of the key concerns that they have, and how we can amplify that. But ultimately, again, this culminates into Loeries Creative Week that happens in October, where people come from across Africa and the Middle East, where we put them on our stages, where they're able to chat about things that are really, really important, and also within the judging rooms itself. So there's multiple layers, and they're very nuanced, and there's just different platforms that we actually use to ensure we keep this industry together. We're sharing those best insights, and we're bringing those problems that maybe face up to the fore so they can be dealt with as well.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the involvement of advertising or the messaging in advertising, because when I look back 20 years ago at some of the stuff that I found particularly funny as a young individual, my kids don't find the same stuff half as hilarious. So what has that journey been like? Is it a factor in the creative industry?
Yeah, it's absolute factor in society. I think that's the thing, is the creative industry is a mirror, and we hold that mirror up to society. So anything that's changed, you'll find the change comes across in the way we communicate with consumers as well. And it's not something that's noticeable. It's not something where you go like, wow, okay, this has just changed really quickly. It happens gradually, right? And therefore, one of the key factors that we test is innovation. So you'll find those incremental changes that happen through society because people in this industry have such a deep underground understanding of what's happening in the zeitgeist and what's actually happening. It comes across in the advertising itself. So so if you pick 2 years and you'll have a look at 2023 and you'll compare it to 2003, you'll absolutely notice the difference. But if you had to compare what happened from 2003 to 2004 to 2005 and each year gradually, you'll be able to see those incremental changes itself. And it's reflected in the advertising itself to ensure that it's relevant and makes a difference and speaks to the consumers in this current time.
Now, Preetesh, let's talk about markets and regions. And obviously that you have some brands that are global. So you would have a toothpaste commercial in Zambia that's produced by a Zambian agency, will do phenomenally well and potentially could fall flat on its face in Kenya. Do you ever have those scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, you don't normally have global campaigns that work like that unless it's for very specific brands, because even if they do go to certain regions, they're tweaked for those regions itself. So our entry criteria ensures that when we're getting the work in, we're not looking at global. So global campaigns can't be entered into the Loeries. We want regional work that is specifically done for the markets itself. So you're not going to see a campaign that was aired in the USA that suddenly is now being plunked out in South Africa or in Zambia or in Kenya or anything like this. But what we are looking for, has this work been created in the region? Has it been created for those specific markets? And is it relevant to those target consumers? And through this process, what we ensure is that we protect the artists, the creatives, the production companies who work in our region itself, and protect us from becoming a dumping ground for creativity that was done in other regions.
Now, something that you do that I particularly like is that, and I'd like you to provide more details about the Loeries Creative Future Scholarship Program. Now, how does this support young people and foster their development in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about our industry, and a lot of people who are sitting at home thinking about this may not be able to know the exact titles of the jobs you may have in the creative industry. You might not know that you could be a creative director or a copywriter or an art director. And a lot of people, and especially young people of color, do not actively go out and choose to be in the creative industry. So what we do as Loeries is to ensure that we create greater awareness of the jobs that are available, about the opportunities, and about the amazing success you can have. But not only creating awareness, but also then creating a platform and a way for them to get into the industry by being able to facilitate payment of their studies, payment of, being able to buy that laptop, the textbooks, the travel into a university itself, getting to the right place, and then getting mentorship as well. So Loeries Creative Future Scholarship goes through a process of ensuring that we bring people into the industry, we mentor them and take them on a journey until they're ready to actually join the industry, but with a piece of paper in hand that says that this is an individual who's got the qualification to do so.
Now, I'd imagine that originality is a key aspect to the judging that you do. But then all of a sudden there's something called artificial intelligence, which potentially plays a factor. How does it impact the awards, or certainly the creative elements to it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally looking forward to seeing the emergence of artificial intelligence and what it does. So here's the key thing. Because we get so many people from across the region, we're able to really understand work that may have gone through an artificial and AI filter of some sort before it actually gets into the Loeries. So there's a really stringent process to understand that as well. But ultimately, the way I think we see like AI is it's going to be a tool. If you think about advertising, back in the day, it was done pen and paper. That literally was it. And then eventually from pen and paper, you were able to get printing presses. And then it eventually went into a point where, you've got tools such as Photoshop, so computer-based tools. all we're really seeing right now in terms of artificial intelligence is going to be a new tool to enhance the product coming out of the creative industry. And I do think that the next generation of creatives who are coming out are going to be really adept at using artificial intelligence to enhance the process and ensure that the communication for the end consumer is going to be a lot more diverse and a lot more interesting.
Well, we must talk about how winning a Loeries Award impacted brands and agencies in the past. Can you share some success stories or examples of the benefits derived from winning this accolade?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a number of brands who have gone through it. I mean, one of the brands we have to speak about is Chicken Licken. Chicken Licken, which is represented by Joe Public, a fantastic agency based out in Bryanston, Johannesburg.
Michael Nyati comes to mind.
Yes, Michael Nyati and the Nyati Rider campaign. This is one of the many amazing campaigns that have come out. And, it's been fantastic for the business because, again, ultimately what it is, it's shown that, in terms of those campaigns, creativity has helped ensure that the brand is closer to the consumer, and ultimately a consumer feels an affinity to the brand and ultimately spends with the brand itself. We've seen the agency grow and succeed and really develop as an agency as well. Ultimately, this is all based on, having come through the Loeries ecosystem, having won. I always tell people, when you look at the Loeries, it's not like other awards. It's not an award where you go like, I've won and I've got this Loeries award, which is sitting on my shelf in the back here. Not that Loeries award in your hand and the work is done. The work starts when you get it, because once you've won it, you have the ability to go out and go to your clients and say, look at the amazing work we've done. How can we continue to this trajectory? But you also have the ability to go out and challenge other brands to say, if this is the work that's really making a difference for consumers out there, how do we produce the same kind of work? And that's where the innovation has come from. And that's where a Loeries really makes a difference in society.
Now, as the CEO of the Loeries, what vision do you have for the organization's future? And what are the key areas of focus to sustain and grow creative excellence in the region?
Yeah, I mean, so the Loeries is a non-profit organization, which lots of people don't know, even if you've heard of us. So I think the key vision is, as we now embark on our 45th year, we've been around for 45 years, what we want to do is amplify our impact in education, to be able to bring more people into the creative industry across Africa and the Middle East, to make it an active first choice where somebody's sitting out there and go, I'm in grade 12, grade 11, grade 12, and I want to get into the creative industry. I want to make a big difference out there. So ultimately, that's what we're really working towards, and to celebrate some of the best brands and agencies and production houses who are making a difference to ensure that the best companies rise to the top and ultimately create the communication that impacts the lives of nearly 2 billion consumers across our region.
And finally, the campaign theme, Blood, Sweat and Tears. Speak to us about that.
Yeah, it was created by an amazing agency, Grid Worldwide, run by Nathan Reddy and his amazing team, Janelle and his team over there as well. I think one of the amazing things about that is it really speaks to the hard work that goes into creating an ad. When you look at an ad, whether it's on your computer screen, on television, lots of people don't realize the effort that goes into it. So it speaks to the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into creating this advertising so that the consumers out there can have great communication. And it's resonated really strongly with the creative community.
Preetesh Sewraj, the Loeries CEO. Appreciate your time this afternoon.